Welcome to VSC Magazine, Spring Quarter 1993. I'm Masia Kyser. On today's show, we'll take a look at how Valdosta State becoming a university is affecting the college and the community. We'll also see how distance learning courses are being used to serve the South Georgia region. And we'll take a look at the women's softball team, one of the youngest teams on Valdosta State campus. The athletic program at Valdosta State has had an outstanding season. The Blazers baseball team ranked 24th in the nation and advanced to postseason play. And to top the season off, they won the regular Gulf South Regional Championship. The golf team finished second in the Gulf South Conference and was one of the 6 teams from the South to attend the national tournament. The Lady Blazers softball team finished 43-8 for the year and were second in the North Regional Tournament. They are our first softball team ever from VSC to advance to tournament play.
Hi, this is Serena Garcia. Today I'm interviewing Coach Ron Durante of the Valdosta State Lady Blazers softball team. We also have Olivia Parks and Allison Morrell with us. First of all, Coach, I want to start by asking you about the progress your team has made over the past few years.
Well, when I got here, I think it was 3 years ago, we had, the record was 9-32. And last year we went to 32-13. And this year we're 41-6 and making our first regional bid. So we're happy and we think we've done well, but of course the talent's there, so coaching doesn't take too much coaching.
Yeah. Okay, tell us a little bit more about the accomplishments your team has made this past season.
Well, we won the West Georgia Invitational, went undefeated in that tournament. We won the Kentucky Wesleyan Invitational, we went undefeated in that tournament. We won the Valdosta Festival, and of course we won the Gulf South Conference, and we went undefeated in that tournament. So I mean, just the fact that we went 41-6 and 13th in the nation, it's pretty good.
Yeah. How does this team, this present team you have now, compare with the teams you've had in the past?
This is by far the best. I mean, you can't even compare them. This is it. This may be one of the top teams in the country, and you know, you just can't compare it. When I sat them down at the beginning of the year, I told them, I said, you're looking at maybe the best team in the United States, and it turned out that it may be right. Just may be right.
Okay. Olivia, how long have you been playing softball?
For 2 years.
Okay, have you switched positions during that time, or?
Well, at first, when I first tried out, I transferred from slow pitch to fast, and when I first started, first time I got up to the batter spot for fast pitch, I was like, there is no way I can hit this ball. And Coach kept determining me. He's like, you can do it. I see the capabilities in you. You can do it. And then when he put me in left field, and now I'm playing right field. I think I like right field better.
Why, because of the sun, or?
No, because the angle I can see when the batter hits the ball, the angle that the ball comes. You have to be quick, especially in right field, because the angle and the ball comes off a different way than it does left field and center field.
Okay, and Allison, I want to pose the same question to you also. How long have you been playing, in what positions?
I've been playing softball for approximately 11 years, and I've been a catcher during most of that time. All through Valdosta State, I've been a catcher. I've played here for 3 years, and I enjoy it a lot. I like catching. You never get bored. You're always involved in every play, and a lot of people relate it to a quarterback of a football team. You're in charge of the defense, and you need to tell them where to go.
Mm-hmm. Did you start off like in small-time recreation softball, or?
The town I'm from is known for its softball, so we have a pretty big name back home for softball. So it was never really a small town.
Well, let me ask you two girls, what do you think attributes to the success of this team first?
Teamwork and motivation. Like when one player is down, we sit them aside or we talk to them, hey, you can do it. Like if somebody's having a bad game, we just tell them you can do it next time. Don't worry about it. Shake it off and let's play.
I believe a big success is our defense, along with the teamwork. If you have a good defense, a team can't beat you. If they can't score a run off you, they're not going to win. So all you have to do is produce or manufacture runs. So that's a big part is our defense. We stress defense a lot in practice.
Well, let me ask you some of the things Coach Durante stresses during your practices, since I hear they're very strenuous.
Defense is the main thing that he stresses. We work on our hitting, but as I said earlier, defense. But out of softball, he stresses us, to our school work, because that's a big issue. Is to get all your work done in time, and make sure you communicate with your teachers and have a good rapport with them.
You tell us to have a positive attitude, and even like if a game is going bad, and a lot of the times a lot of teams don't like us. Why, I don't know, but he always tell us to have a positive attitude, show good sportsmanship.
Okay, Coach, back to you, not to leave you out. Today, driving over here, I heard on the radio that you were going to the regional tournament.
Right.
Tell us a little about that.
Well, we got invited to the Midwest region, which is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which really surprised us all yesterday because I have a few girls that have never flown before, so they're a little upset about that. But I think it'll be an exciting trip. We'll go places some people have never been before. We get to play against the number 3, the number 5, and the number 11 team in the country, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I think if this team plays up to their capabilities, we have a shot. We have a chance to win it all. And the next trip is Kansas City, that's the Final Four. So we'll see.
And we would like to wish you all luck in South Dakota. I'm sure all of VSC is behind you. And this is Serena Gosier talking to Coach Durante, Allison and Olivia. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Crime is a concern for everyone. However, security on a college campus requires special concerns. John Young investigated what special services public safety offers to college students.
What are some of the most common crimes that occur in the dorms, and how do you think they could be prevented?
The most common crime that occurs in the dorms is theft, and that generally occurs out of a student's room. A lot of times a student will leave their dorm room unlocked, and so we advise all the students to keep their doors locked, and if they have a roommate, to have a good understanding between them that when one leaves, to take the key with them so the door will be locked when they come back. And also some students will take their dorm key and put it over the frame of the door on the outside, and we advise them not to do that.
And you're saying you should lock the door even when you go take a shower? Even
when you go take a shower, generally you're in the shower for at least 10 to 15 minutes, and it only takes about 15 seconds for someone to walk in your room if the door's unlocked and to grab an item that's in plain view. And that's generally the most common way that theft happens, when a student is just down the hall in the bathroom or just went down the hall to visit a friend or borrow some notes or something like that.
What items can you recall that have been taken out of students' rooms?
There's a tremendous diversity of items. It goes from wallets and purses, jewelry, books, clothing, backpacks, computers, bicycles, most anything. And so we try to advise students, especially with expensive jewelry and items like that, not to bring unnecessary items to school.
Okay. So does VSC have an insurance policy for students, maybe?
No, they don't.
They don't.
What we advise students to do is to check with their parents or their own homeowner's policy and to see if it will carry over to the school. And if it will not, then perhaps they can get an inexpensive policy to cover their items while they're at school.
Okay. So is there any way to increase the possibility if something is stolen that it could be returned to that person?
Yes, there is. Often students do not have any information recorded on their valuables, such as TVs or stereos or bicycles. All of these items have brand names, model numbers, serial numbers, and maybe other distinguishing marks. And if a student will write this information down, that way if something is stolen, we will have it, and we can check the local pawn shops to see if their item has been pawned. We have personal property records available for students free of charge. It's a small record where they can write all of this information down and keep it in one place. And we also have engraving tools. If a student has an item that does not have a serial number on it, or if they'd simply like to add their own personal number to an item, they can come over to the Department of Public Safety and pick up an engraving tool and use it for a couple of days to engrave their items.
Okay. When I noticed that a lot of students have to maybe go to Oak Street to get their cars at night. Is that a good idea to be walking alone at night? Sometimes they're walking alone.
No, it's not a good idea. Now, the Department of Public Safety has an escort program for the students. If a student needs to go anywhere on campus at night when it's dark from point A to point B, if they will call us, we will provide an escort for them. Now, they may need to call a few minutes ahead of time before they need to go somewhere because their officers may be tied up doing other things, so they may have to wait a few minutes. And also, students need to understand that it's not a taxi service, it's an escort service, and the officer may ride the student in the car, or the officer may park his car and get out and walk with the student. But either way, the student is being provided with a safe escort, and that's the purpose of the program.
You said that public safety can either walk the student or drive him. Can they like ride behind the student and the student wanted to walk and public safety ride in their car behind them, or do they have to walk them?
If the student wanted to do that, as far as I know, that option is available. But generally, you know, if the officer doesn't mind getting out and walking with the student, that's no problem.
Okay. Let me ask you a little bit about Oak Street. Do things get stolen out of cars regularly, or?
Well, I wouldn't say regularly. Sometimes we go through rashes of thefts, but yes, we do have thefts out of cars from time to time. And you would think that most people would roll up their windows and lock their cars, but a lot of people still don't do that. And often that's the case, the reason why something is stolen out of a car is because it was left unlocked. So we'd advise the students, roll up their windows, even in the summer when it's 95 degrees outside, lock the doors, and either take valuable items with them or hide them in the trunk or cover them up in the car. Some people have radar detectors and expensive stereos and things like that, and we suggest for them to try to make them as invisible as possible, to put them in the trunk or hide them or whatever.
What precautions should students take when getting into their cars?
They need to approach their car carefully, try to look under it, and maybe walk around it at least 2 car lengths. Someone could be hiding in front of your car if you walked up to your car from the rear and you could not see them until you had your keys in your hand and you were opening the door. And then someone could jump up from the front of your car and attack you or attempt to steal your car or something of that nature. So be cautious in parking lots You know, pay attention to your surroundings wherever you're at.
I noticed also that students like to exercise at night. They run around campus. Some of them may wear headphones. Is this a good idea?
No, it's not a good idea. I know it's probably a lot more enjoyable for the student to be wearing their headphones and listening to their music or study tapes or whatever. But if you're listening to something, then you're not listening to what's going on around behind you. Someone could be running up behind you and you may not hear them. And you're probably not paying attention to the people and what's going on around you. It's a distraction. And the biggest thing in crime prevention is to be aware that crime is out there, it does happen, and to be aware of what's going on around you at all times.
And what about, are there certain precautions that students should take when walking alone at night, maybe?
Well, we don't advise them to walk alone at night at all. Of course, they can call us for an escort service. If they're out there for exercise, they don't want an escort. We tell them if they must, you know, go out and jog or walk or whatever at night, which sometimes with the schedules, that's the only time convenient for them, to try to go in with some friends, as many as possible. And there are certain things that you can take with you. A whistle is a good idea. That's one personal item that you can keep with you when you're keyring or whatever. It's inexpensive, it's easy to carry, and generally a whistle can't be used against you. Also, there are a number of companies now making personal body alarms, and you pull a pin if you are threatened and it makes a loud shrieking sound that will draw attention to you and hopefully scare off your attacker.
I noticed that students have mace. Is that good?
Well, it's a personal decision. I tell students it's a personal decision if they want to carry mace. The only disadvantage to carrying mace, well, the main disadvantage, is that if your attacker takes it away from you, then they can turn around and use it against you.
How should a crime be prevented? I mean, reported if a crime does happen?
Okay. We have an emergency telephone number at the Department of Public Safety, and if there's an emergency, we always want the student to call that telephone number, and it's 333-2193. And we also have a regular business telephone number, and that is 333-7816. And these telephones are manned by our dispatchers 24 hours a day, year-round. All a student has to do is call us. If it's an immediate emergency, someone will respond to them. If it's a crime that maybe happened an hour ago or something like that, we will still respond to them immediately. And we will, if they need an ambulance or anything like that, we will call ambulances for them. We will write the police reports, and we will also investigate the crimes.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
I'd like to say two things. For students and faculty and staff, just be aware that crime does happen on campus. We try to do everything that we can to prevent it, but that's not always easy to do. And if they would take steps of their own to be aware and know what's going on, that will help us. And to report things to us and let us know. And the last thing I'd like to add is that for everyone to please buckle up, that May the 24th through the 31st is Buckle Up America Week. And as a member of the Lowndes County Chamber of Commerce Bull Committee, which stands for Buckle Up, Live Longer, I'd like to just remind everyone to buckle up for safety.
Okay. I'm Rashay Nelson, and this has been Crime Prevention on VSC Campus.
We're VSC students working to bring you better local programming in the area of sports, arts, and information. Thanks for joining us. We're VSC TV.
Excuse me. Do you wear your safety belt?
Why, no. I don't wear my safety belt.
Thank you.
could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Think about having to drive from Bainbridge to Tifton to Waycross to Douglas. Makes you kind of tired, doesn't it? Well, that's what a lot of the teachers had to do at Valdosta State until last year. Angela Walker visits the distance learning classroom and finds out more about these time-saving classes.
Sitting here with Dr. Wiley in the distance learning classroom. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Wiley. Can you first tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm an assistant professor in the secondary education department in the instructional technology program, and this is my first year here at VSC.
Oh, okay. What classes have been taught using the distance learning technology?
We have classes in undergraduate and graduate level education and also nursing courses. I personally have taught a graduate level curriculum course and also a graduate production of instructional materials course.
Okay. Is the registration process any different for students wanting to register for the distance learning program?
No, when a student registers for the distance learning class, they register through the telephone registration. The difference is how the registration is processed from that point, but from the student's point of view, it's the same.
Okay. What is different for you as a teacher teaching the distance learning class?
You cannot be very impulsive. You have to plan well in advance. Materials usually need to be planned 2 weeks in advance. So it requires a lot more thought and a lot further planning for the instructor.
Do you think teaching the distance learning program has benefited you any?
Oh yes, I loved it. It's very exciting. It's very interesting. I enjoyed working with all the groups. I had 5 sites, the on-campus site and 4 sites that I worked with primarily in the curriculum issues class. We had a lot of interaction between sites and within sites. I was able to link up 2 of the smaller groups and have them work on individual and group activities together. You have to get the students more involved when you're teaching through this medium. You have to provide more opportunities for interaction. So it's kind of like juggling, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed interacting with the students.
That's good. Do you see any advances in distance learning program in South Georgia in the future?
Oh yes, the future is wide open. Such things as linking possibly with technical schools, linking with high schools, doing more linkages across the state, because now with the system we have, we could link into other systems within the state and hold conferences, have workshops. We're hoping to do some workshops for teachers through this system, just providing a lot of opportunities, cutting down on the time it would take for different schools, different teachers or personnel to get to VSC.
Okay. So, you mentioned that this is your first year here at Valdosta State College. Is this your first year teaching the distance learning? Okay, so this is experience.
I taught my first course, my second quarter here.
Oh.
So it's really exciting. And I'm also teaching this summer and this fall. I'm scheduled to teach through distance ed. As soon as I got into the process, I said, okay, sign me up for the next.
Fun, huh?
It's a lot of fun. It's really, really an interesting process.
Great. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Wiley. Okay.
Thank you.
What are some of the students' reactions to the distance learning classes?
We've had some very positive reactions. The first one is they don't have to drive anywhere from 2 to 3 hours or whatever. So that's the primary thing. But there's been a lot of positive feedback with the interaction level from the students that I've had, with being able to, even though they're not in the same place, they feel a part of the class. And we've done some research on the motivation level, the classroom environment, perceptions of the students, to get a feel of what they're feeling in the field. And it's been very positive. And a lot of the comments have been very positive.
We're now sitting here with Dr. Watford. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Watford. Can you first tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Luck Watford. I'm second year here at Valdosta State, my first year with the distance learning. I originally was at Troy State University, Montgomery, and retired from the Alabama system to come to Valdosta.
Okay. What is Valdosta State College service area, and how many sites do we currently serve in the distance learning program?
We have a geographical service area of 41 counties in South Georgia. We're currently serving to the west, Bainbridge College, to the north, Tifton at ABAC, Douglas at South Georgia College, and Waycross at Waycross College is our furthest unit to the east.
What type of technology does it take to make the distance learning program work?
The particular technology that we're doing is called interactive two-way video. It's the system is done by Compressed Labs in California. We take a regular analog signal, convert it to digital, and put it out over ordinary telephone lines to the local office of the phone company, where it's then picked up with fiber and sent all over the country.
Okay. And the distance learning and education following the trend set by the corporate use of video conferencing?
Actually, Valdosta State College and other units throughout the country are a little ahead of the conference by businesses. We're using the same technology. Some of the problems we're running into is control of audio, where when the corporate has a conference, they have people sitting down, behaving right in front of a camera and in front of the mics. With education, we have instructors moving around the classroom. Cameras are having to follow them. The audio is picking up students talking. It's a little bit more difficult to handle educational applications than it is just corporate conferencing.
What advances in distance learning do you see for Southwest Georgia in the near future?
Well, our plans at the current time is to expand our 5 sites so that they can all be origination sites. That is, they'll have the auxiliary camera in the back, better microphone systems, and more of the monitors to watch the students. We hope to expand 8 sites with just the ordinary, as it is now, with the interactive two-way video. Also to expansion into other types of technology.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Watford.
Thank you for having me.
Unless you've just arrived in Valdosta, chances are you've heard about Valdosta State College becoming Valdosta State University. Donna Sant spoke with several college and community leaders about the changes Valdosta State will face as it moves to university status.
First, I spoke with Mr. Walter Peacock, Director of Admissions, and he told us how his department is preparing for university status.
Well, first and foremost, there are a lot of direct changes that we have to make. We have to redo all of our publications to incorporate university and instead of college. That's the first thing we have to do, and that's a lot of publications for this office, including brochures and applications, letterhead, envelopes, forms. It just goes on and on. The next thing we'll do is we'll redo we have a videotape that we send to prospective students that'll have to be redone, and that's on the agenda for next school year to get that redone. So those are some direct things. The indirect things, or things that we will take under consideration, would be expanding recruitment territories and possibly going outside of our current territories, which are Georgia, the state of Georgia and the state of Florida. We might look at some areas in the Northeast. Hopefully, Donna will have quite a large impact on admissions, especially for the long term. It's hard to say for the short term exactly what it'll do, but we expect, the expectations are that student population will rise here, along with, obviously, our application pool will have to rise before student population will, but we've been on the right. We've experienced increasing enrollments here for quite a while. Been growing at a rate of 4 to 5%, so we hope that will certainly continue, and that maybe it'll even increase at a higher rate. We don't think that university status by itself will make that happen. We will have to work just as hard, or maybe harder than ever, to make enrollment grow. But we're excited about it. We're really excited about it, and I think it'll add a lot of prestige to this school and this campus. And I think students are looking for that type institution. We are on the move, and that's what high school students are looking for. We require a minimum of 400 on the verbal part of the SAT and 400 on the math part of the SAT for unconditional admission, along with the college preparatory curriculum requirements met. That is sort of a standard procedure for the university system. So right now we have some of the higher standards in the university system, which we're very proud of. So those are not going to change initially. They may be increased in the future, though.
Then I spoke with Mr. Herb Reinhard, Director of Athletics, and he had a lot of positive things to say about university status.
We're very excited about university status. We think it will do a number of things, not only for athletics, but the total institution. But speaking directly of the impact that university status will have as far as the athletic department, we feel like that it will enable us to go out in the corporate sector, expand our corporate recruitment efforts through not only so we can leave Valdosta, but then go into the South Georgia market, because what we will be doing is marketing ourselves as the athletic department for South Georgia, the flagship institution for South Georgia, a 41-county area. I think that it will do a lot for our recruiting efforts as far as the recruitment of student athletes. I find it amazing when I talk to people that perhaps don't know a lot about higher education and the way higher education works. The name or the term university is just magical. All of a sudden, with the flick of a switch, we become a much better institution. When really, at least initially, most of the impact will be on graduate level courses and some additional research. Freshmen and sophomores won't see a big difference. But a lot of people think that all of a sudden Valdosta State University is a much better school than Valdosta State College was. So as we go out and recruit high school students to come here and compete in athletics and further their academic career, I think that you'll see a better quality of athletes, or a better quality of student. Perhaps some student athletes that wouldn't have given Valdosta State a second look a year or two ago will look at us now because of the fact that we are Valdosta State University. I think that enrollment will increase significantly along with university status, and of course as enrollment increases, the amount of money that comes into athletics increases because of student fees. So we think that will have a very positive impact on us. We think that we'll be able to do some additional things down the line because we'll have some additional money in the program because of increased enrollment. So I think that there will not be, of course, we'll go out and paint the side of the bus. So there'll be some things that you see right off the bat, such as some of our uniforms will change because of that. But these are things that you see right off the bat. But there'll be an impact, but it won't be a dramatic overnight impact that a lot of people will notice right away. The change to university status will not really impact us conference-wise. We play in the Gulf South Conference. We will remain a Division II athletic program. A lot of people have asked us, with university status, will Valdosta State move to Division I athletics? And the answer to that, at least at this point, is no. We are not ready to become Division I in athletics, and I think it will probably be quite a period of time before we even really take a hard look at moving up to Division I. So right now, we will remain a Division II institution as far as the athletic program. We will remain a member of the Gulf South Conference. So really, there will not be any change as far as our conference affiliation that university status will bring on. University status really is not going to impact us tremendously as far as additional cost. There will be some one-time miscellaneous charges, such as we will have to replace some uniforms. We will have to replace various pieces of equipment. And we will sooner or later have to do a new paint job on Blazer Bus. But I think that probably just off the bat, we're probably looking at a maximum cost of somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,000 to $8,000 to $9,000, $10,000 perhaps, to help us with the changeover as far as new uniform charges and logo changes. We have to take the VSC off of the basketball floor and put in VSU and things like that. So there'll be a lot of things that we have to do as far as that area. But as far as our operating budget, university status will not impact that.
Next, I spoke with Rob Kellner, Director of Housing, and he told us how university status will impact his department.
Okay. I believe that university status is going to have some impact on the housing department here at Valdosta State. It potentially is an unknown, the total impact it's going to have at this point. We do anticipate, with the projections they've made for additional students to come to Valdosta State, that our housing capacity will need to grow. We'll the number of students we have residing on campus will expand beyond what it is today. And hopefully in the very near future we will have the need to build additional facilities to continue to house students as they desire housing. The rental market in Valdosta is getting tighter today, which is going to make campus housing more of a bargain or a realistic alternative to some of the students. The increase in rent rates around town, plus the new ordinance passed by the city council limiting no more than 3 unrelated people to living in a household, also are likely to encourage more students to live on campus. When I start looking at all these factors, I see the occupancy levels rising in campus housing, and university status is going to be another factor that helps accelerate the occupancy level increases, so that we hopefully we will be. The last time we were totally full was the fall of 1989. In fact, we had students in motels that year for all of fall quarter. I'm hoping that this fall we're going to return to that. Our housing applications are running well ahead of where they were at the same point last year, which I'm sure partially is attributable to the upcoming university status situation. So I think university status is going to do nothing but help housing and have a major impact upon the housing program here at Valdosta State. Right now, I'm expecting hopefully to see another 200-300 students in housing, and how much of that we can attribute university status, we may never know, because as I mentioned a moment ago, the other factors involved in the community are going to push some of the students back onto campus or force them to remain on campus because their current living situation will no longer exist as it does now. So to try and break down how much of the increase is related to university status, I don't know that we can ever do that, but it's going to be a significant factor in the increase we see in housing. In thinking about possible ways we could expand housing on campus, we do have more than one option available to us. The ideal option probably would be to build new facilities, simply because the facilities we have today were all constructed pretty much in the 60s and 70s. And today's student has needs much different from the student that was attending college in those days. I would hope that we would probably go more towards apartments or at least suite-style bathrooms, but that type of construction is more expensive than a traditional residence hall like we have here on campus today. That would be one option, the new construction. A second option would be to expand existing facilities. Langdale, when it was constructed, was built with a foundation for 10 stories. I've never seen them, but my understanding is Georgia Hall, the original architectural plan, showed an additional wing projecting out towards Georgia Avenue that would house another 100 students. So there would be some potential to do some expansion to the current halls that exist, but from a developmental standpoint of the student, that's not the school of thought today, because these type of halls have not been found to be as successful today in helping the students to develop and achieve their academic goals as have the apartments and smaller halls where the students can really develop a sense of community.
Next, I spoke with John B. Lastinger at the Chamber of Commerce, and he explained to us how Valdosta State University would affect Valdosta and Lowndes County.
The Chamber of Commerce is very involved with Valdosta State College, and hopefully soon to be Valdosta State University, but in a number of ways. Dr. Hugh Bailey, the president of the college, is an ex officio member of our board of directors, and he brings us a report each month at our monthly meeting and kind of keeps us abreast of what's going on at the college. We have an education committee at the Chamber that supports not only education at the city and county school systems, but also at the college. We do a welcome dinner each year for the faculty, and try to make them feel at home and welcome to this community. There's a obvious economic impact there, at the college, and certainly that plays a big role, in this community. As VSC or VSU grows, so does our economy. It will have a tremendous effect on this community. From what I know, Valdosta State College has been growing kind of at the rate of 3% a year. Well, you figure at 8,000 students, that'd be about 240 a year. They say when you achieve university status, you will begin to grow at a rate of 10%. So 10% of 8,000 is 800 students. I read an article one time in American Demographics magazine that said that the average college student has discretionary income of about $2,000 a year to spend. Now, you probably don't agree with that, and I know I didn't have that much money when I was going to college, but nevertheless, I mean, they say that's what they can spend. I mean, stuff like food and laundry and entertainment. So you multiply, $2,000 a year times 8,000 students. I think that's about $16 million. And you figure if you're growing at 240 a year as a college, and then you jump to growing, at 500 plus a year, then that figure, doubles. And that's a significant impact on, the restaurants, the laundries, the people who rent. I mean, that money's gonna turn over 6 or 7 times in this community. So it's a major increase. And obviously, as you increase students, you increase faculty, and that increases the payroll of Valdosta State. That money filters into the community too. We have a Quality of Life magazine, and the new one, in fact, will feature Valdosta State University on the cover. It will be available in July. I don't have one on my desk here to show you right now. We do have our little monthly newsletter, and you can see here that Valdosta State College Valdosta State University is featured on the front, but just about everything that our economic profile mentions it, and gives the enrollment. So just about anything that goes out of this office that looks good has something in there about the college.
Valdosta State College was founded in 1906. On June 30th, 1993, Valdosta State College will become Valdosta State University.